You're watching Football Trending, delivered by JOE and Domino's.
Hello and welcome to Football Trending, delivered by JOE and Domino's. I'm Wayne Farry.
I'm Reuben Pinder.
And we're joined by Dom Betts of the Fulhamish pod and England follower Home and Away. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So boys, how are you feeling about the Euros?
I'm buzzing.
Yeah?
I'm so excited.
Yeah?
I've got Euros fever flowing through my veins. Basically, ever since I saw Phil Foden's dyed his hair silver this morning, I'm more certain than ever that it's coming home.
Yeah, I mean
whatever that means.
No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it does seem like, it feels like it's coming home at least. What about you? How excited are you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Fulham fan. This season's just been diabolical. And not being able to go to the games, especially with England, hasn't helped. So having something to look forward to this summer, knowing having tickets for the Wembley games, it's, you know, I went to one of the Middlesbrough friendlies last week, and it was just good seeing all your England friends again. You know, the last time we were all together really was 19 months ago away in Kosovo. So it's great to get back, and it's 3 years without a major tournament is way too long for my liking. Since the Croatia defeat in the World Cup, it's pretty much been since then such a major tournament. So I can't wait, and so many games potentially on home soil at Wembley, because if we win the group and we potentially get to the final, it's only one game away from Wembley all tournament.
Yeah. So Euros fever out of 10.
8.5, I think.
I'll go 9 just because I know I've got a ticket for that Croatia game on Sunday. You've got the pub books.
I'm very jealous.
You've got a ticket for the game. Yeah, everyone's buzzing for it.
That brings it up to a 9. So speaking of the Croatia game, obviously they were, discounting the qualifiers and stuff like that, that was your last tournament game, well, that mattered, right? Like, are you guys confident facing Croatia now? Like, England have an incredibly strong team.
I'm much more confident than I was when we played them in the World Cup. Although in the World Cup we expected them to be tired, so I was probably quite confident going into that game, but I genuinely think we've got a better chance of beating them this time than we did in the World Cup, because people forget the last time we played Croatia in a competitive game was in a Nations League and we beat them at Wembley. Yeah. And now we're playing them at Wembley again 2 years later, almost 3 years later. Their team's got older, our squad is younger than it was. We've got so much more attacking talent in our squad this time. They don't have Mario Mandzukic anymore, which I think is probably a massive factor.
True.
And so I am confident, but the warm-up games didn't inspire that much hope. But at the same time, I'm like, we shouldn't pay too much attention to the warm-up games.
Do they matter?
Well, if you look at the ones before the World Cup, which were, I think it was Nigeria at Wembley and then
Costa Rica at
Ellen Road. Again, we were not convincing in either of those two games. I think if you look at any pre-tournament friendly, unless you're looking at Germany's result against Latvia last night, won 7-1. There's not been too many goals. Scotland only beat Luxembourg, for example, 1-0. I don't think there's too much to look into it. If you look at the team we played against Romania, for example, how many of those players are actually going to even play?
A few of the players aren't even going to the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. It's nowhere near our starting 11. Yeah. So and it did look disjointed. But the one good thing about those performances was how Jack Grealish can make a disjointed team kind of work together, because he just does so much with the ball on his own. Yeah,
he is going to be such an outlet for Southgate during the tournament. Now, Croatia have aged, as most people tend to do, but their midfield is still pretty strong. Like, when you look at it, they've got Kovacic. I don't even know if is he going to be a starter even?
Well, probably because Rakitic doesn't play for them anymore.
Yeah, true.
So.
But
he's retired for now.
Yeah, you've got Modric, Brozovic. Yeah. Modric is still. He can still pull the strings.
He's 35, but he's still brilliant. And then out wide, they've still got Rebic and Perisic. So they do have... Those 5 players are very good. And so I do think their midfield will probably dominate the ball against ours. But where our strengths lie are probably at full-back and in attack. So that's probably where we can hurt them.
Yeah. So speaking of full-backs, so obviously the 4 right-backs conversation kind of dominated all the build-up before the squad was announced. Trent is pulled out, or is injured. Ben White is in his place. But really, it's for me at least, up top, where this is generational talent after generational talent for you guys. So we, earlier this week, asked the Football Joe followers on Twitter, out of 3 possible combinations, who would they put next to Kane? And obviously the one that has started most recent kind of tournament games and stuff like that is Sterling and Rashford. Just 7.4% of 10,000 people said that they would choose them, with the other options being, a combination of Grealish and or Foden or
Mount, Sancho.
Yeah, just a lot of those players. So who do you guys think should should partner Kane?
I think it's a tough one because you would love to see, you know, Mount, Foden, Grealish behind Harry Kane, right? But I think tactically that doesn't work as great as it sounds because you've got 3 players who are all going to want to be drifting in to that central area. I do think whether it is someone like, I wouldn't say Rashford, whether it's Sterling or Sancho, I think one of them would kind of needs to play potentially on the right hand side because you'd expect if Foden or Grealish are playing, they'd be on the left hand side. But I do think you need someone, for example, as I said, like Sancho or Sterling, who is going to get down the line and get balls into the box to someone like Harry Kane, or if there's an ongoing runner. You know, I understand you can have someone like, you can have Kane dropping deep and having Grealish and Foden or Grealish and Sterling, or whatever the combination is, running on behind. But I do think you do need someone who is going to be trying to get down the line. That player, going by Southgate, is probably going to be Raheem Sterling. Because, you know, he's been ever present since Southgate's come in. It's only been the last season really where he's really dropped off. I mean, you know, in the qualification for this tournament, he'll be probably our top goal scorer after Harry Kane. So I think, although everyone does want to see the whole Grealish Mount Foden, I do think one of them is going to have to drop out of Foden and Grealish for Sterling to come in. And I think, going off what you've seen, I think Southgate will find it hard not to play Jack Grealish. But then I also think someone like Jack Grealish coming off the bench might offer more than someone like Phil Foden coming off the bench. But then who knows, when it's Southgate can end up playing Mount and Foden central ahead of someone like Declan Rice in more of a 4-3-3. Then you could see Jack Grealish on the left with Kane through the middle and Sterling on the right. But I don't think you will see a 3 in behind of Grealish, Mount and Foden.
It's so difficult, isn't it? I mean, as Dom said, I understand the clamour to get those 3 in the team because they're the 3 most in-form attacking midfielders in the squad. But, you know, as you just mentioned, tactical balance is everything. System's got to come first, and then the players need to fit it. And something that, I mean, just to add to that problem, Kane likes to drop into pockets of space around those players. And while Grealish can play on the left and Foden can play on the right and Mount likes to play through the middle, doesn't mean they all should at the same time. So I'd probably go for Sancho on form, but Sterling is most likely, I think, as you say.
If you're trying to think what Southgate is going to pick, then you'd be thinking Sterling. Obviously on form, you would pick Jadon Sancho. You know, him and Erling Haaland at Dortmund had a great end to the season, obviously with DFB Pokal win and getting themselves back into the Champions League places where it looked like they wouldn't get it. But I also think, you know, if you're looking at Kane dropping in, if we sort of spoke about if it's a 4-3-3 as opposed to a 4-2-3-1, then the 2 you want going forward, you want to be, they're going to be sort of bombing on down the middle, like you see Heung-min Son doing at Tottenham. Really.
And that's what worked so well when we beat Spain in 2018, was that we played 4-3-3 with Kane basically as a false 9. Rashford and Sterling played wide when they were in form and fit, right? And that's why it worked so well.
That's the key thing, right? So, like, I get all of those points. But is there not something to be said for, and I'm a massive fan of Sterling, but the fact that he has had a difficult season, he's played a lot of games, and the same kind of goes for Rashford as well. Like, he's played an enormous amount of games, like nearly 60 games.
I'm not even convinced Rashford should be there. He's a brilliant player, but he's clearly not.
He's absolutely, like, we saw him in the Europa League, he's knackered, right? But is there not something to be said for maybe resting those guys a little bit? And then my other point was, when it comes to Grealish, like, how many, like, he won the penalty in the last game. Like, his set piece delivery is pretty good, and he's just so dangerous. Like, so I think someone like Grealish, bringing him on late in a game when teams are a bit laggy, he's going to get fouled. England, obviously, the World Cup, set pieces are a massive part of the game plan.
He's also had a recent injury, so I mean, wouldn't do him any harm to. He played both warm-up games. Bring him off the bench. Foden, who played in Champions League final, didn't play the warm-up games, will probably be a bit fresher. Start him on the left. So yeah, I think. Yeah, Foden and Sterling out wide, Mount through the middle, most likely. Yeah,
I think that is most likely. I think there is. I don't think there's question marks about Jack Grealish from the England support. I think there's still questions over Jack Grealish from Southgate. Not when it turns to his ability, but maybe it comes to his attitude. I mean, there was that incident in the first half where he was getting really aggy with the opposition Romanian player and the referee. I'm just like, mate, it's a friendly.
Yeah. like
at
least it shows he cares.
Yeah, I think there is. But
it means more.
I think when it comes to, you mentioned about resting players, I think when it comes to the way I think, I know Scotland is the old enemy and its biggest rivalry, but I think this Croatia game is so key because you don't want us to, let's say, pick up a point and then Scotland to pick up 3 against Czech Republic potentially going into that Friday night game against Scotland at Wembley, because it just puts so much more pressure on England. I think that's what worked in our favour If you look at the World Cup, I know
the order of the games, right?
I know we just about beat Tunisia.
Yeah.
But we did beat Tunisia, and then we had that game against Panama, which meant we were in the next round. I do think you're winning your opening game at a major tournament, especially in the Euros, because if you win your opening game in the Euros, it essentially puts you through to the last 16.
True, yeah.
Because I think only 8 teams go out in the group stages anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I think it just will relieve so much of that pressure. I know you're going into, you know, our biggest rivalry when it comes to international football, arguably against Scotland. But yeah, it's not about resting players. But I don't think we can sort of play not our strongest team that we have available to us. But I do think Southgate is going to use quite a few of the players, obviously from Chelsea and Manchester City, although they haven't played with the camp at all in these 2 games. But I think, you know, there's so many players in there who've been such important players to Gareth, as we mentioned, Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling, John Stones. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of these players, and then obviously we'll get on to, you know, the centre-back conundrum. But I think when it comes to attacking players, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong combination he can use. It's just what combination does everyone want to see the most?
Yeah, no. And I think this isn't the most important thing, but if you don't beat Croatia, England are setting themselves up for just a series of awful checkmate headlines.
Yeah.
If you lose Czech Republic.
And that is, of course, the worst part about it.
The worst part about it all.
But, I mean, I'd almost prefer to play Croatia last.
Exactly.
Like we played Belgium last in the World Cup, because it meant we could... I'm not saying anybody threw the game. It meant we could rest players knowing the second place finish would still be all right.
I believe in American football they call it tanking.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I hate that.
Yeah.
Because I think especially in a tournament like this, if you want to win, you have to beat the best teams. Like, you're not going to be facing the Czech Republic in the final.
No, I know. Scotland. But you also don't want to play France in the second round, do you?
No, but you're going to have to play them at some point.
Yeah.
You
say I know there's that group of death. So if we win the group, we're going to get someone tough either way. Because I mean, Hungary don't even have Szoboszlai, so I don't think they've got much chance in that group. But then, even if we finish second, we could be facing someone like Spain in a round of 16 in Copenhagen. So I think
either way.
It's not like the World Cup. It's like, oh, it's going to be easier to draw that way. Where in the World Cup it was quite obvious.
It was really unbalanced, wasn't it?
Really unbalanced draw. Whereas because I often had this argument that I know a World Cup is very tough to win.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be much more on your game for the entire tournament in a Euros, because there's so many strong teams. Especially if you look this year, with 24 teams, you've got England, France, Italy, Spain, Germany. You know, Turkey could be a dark horse. Portugal. You know, there's so
Belgium. Yeah.
But we're getting to near enough third of the teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I think that you can't be, I want to finish this place to play a team here. I think you've got to come against these teams, and you don't know what's going to happen in that group of death. You know, we could end up playing. I know it's going to be, you know, France, Portugal, or Germany, whoever. But like, I feel you got to remember, if we win that round of 6 game is at Wembley, and that does work in our favour.
Yeah, and like, you just cannot discount. I know it's very intangible, but you cannot discount the benefit of winning your group.
Just momentum.
The momentum of it, especially in a tournament like this, because you need it.
And the confidence of beating Croatia would just
that would just propel you guys, you know. So speaking of, we briefly touched on the defence earlier. So Ben White is in the squad, replacing Trent. Harry Maguire is still a bit iffy.
Yeah, he's probably not going to play any group games, is he?
I don't imagine he'll be playing until at least around 16.
Yeah. So negating whatever the wisdom is of bringing several injured players with you to a tournament, especially your most important players, really, we can assume that John Stones is going to start in that defence. Yeah. Regardless of what formation is being played, right? Yeah. So, having seen Ben White's performance in the last warm-up game, where he was extremely impressive, having seen the performances of another player, which weren't quite as impressive, and a player that I know both of you have a slight bone to pick with.
Yeah, basically.
Bone with which to pick.
Tyrone Mings cannot play in this tournament. Well,
tell me why.
The only reason he's there is because he's left-footed. Yeah. He's not as good as his Villa partner in Ezri Konsa, who deserved a call-up over him. In both warm-up games, he made a horrendous mistake. Yeah. The first of which wasn't even near the ball. He just decided to randomly attack an opposition player in his own penalty area, knowing there was no VAR. There will be a VAR in the tournament. He can't do that. Yeah. And in the second game, the first thing he did was let the ball roll under his foot and almost let their striker run through on goal. I don't trust him. No. He's not as good as people think he is. Ben White is actually a good player, as much as it pains me to say as a Palace fan. A much better player. Don't care if he has to play on the left side, which isn't his strongest. For me, it's got to be him and Stones.
The reason Ben White, I think, has been called up is because of Tyrone Mings. Tyrone Mings is what's got Ben White into the squad, because Southgate has seen that his centre-back options he's got aren't enough if Maguire's not going to be fit until around 16.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was talking about Jesse Lingard, which as much as Jesse Lingard in a usual sort of situation would deserve to be in the squad, why we wouldn't want to be bringing another players into those sort of 3 behind Kane positions.
Yeah.
You potentially looked at Ward-Prowse. Everyone says set-piece specialist. I was like, but if he's not on the pitch, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You'd much rather bring on Jack Grealish, who can win free kicks and is incredibly mobile,
and
than Ward-Prowse.
You might have someone on the pitch like Kieran Trippier, who we know is set-piece specialist.
Or Reece James. He can take free kicks as well.
Exactly. So I think that Ben White was actually the sensible decision to make. And although it's not what everyone probably wanted, I do. You know, people were even talking about bringing a third striker in, Ollie Watkins. I think the 26-man squad has made it a more complicated situation than if it was a 23. I don't think there'd be too many arguments about players in this squad if it was a 23-man squad.
Because you just have 2 players in every position, right?
Yeah.
Whereas 26, it's like, where do you want your extra?
Yeah, you have 2 players in every position and 3 goalkeepers, right? Because that's squad sort of the rules. You know, you need 3 goalkeepers in the squad. But yeah, I think Ben White, if we're going to play a back 4 against Croatia, makes the most sense because he's played both games, so he's match fit.
Yeah.
Southgate clearly likes him. He played well in both friendlies. So yeah, if we are going to play a back 4, you'd imagine the 2 centre backs would definitely be John Stones and Ben White. But it's Gareth Southgate, so who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. So basically, it's Tyrone Mings' fault that Ward-Prowse didn't get the call up.
That's basically.
Well, it's not his fault. It's his fault in the sense that it's his fault.
Although I was surprised there just wasn't another right back come in. You know.
Yeah.
James Tavernier from Rangers, or
Wan-Bissaka,
Matty Cash from Villa. You know.
Ayling. You know.
Luke Ayling from these. It's just what English right backs currently available.
Yeah. Well, see, then there's the whole thing too, and I'm kind of taking the piss here when I say this, but like bringing 3 keepers, actually, I think it's kind of unwise.
It's a rule.
But could you not bring Kyle Walker as a keeper and a right back?
Unfortunately not. But if we were allowed to do that, I would just bring 2 keepers and let Walker be third choice.
Because I mean, he's pretty good.
The third choice keeper never ever plays.
No. So up top, you want Kane, Foden, and Sterling, or Sancho and Sterling, and Mount. Okay.
This is assuming it's a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, let's assume that, right? Pickford in goal.
Yeah.
Ben White playing alongside John Stones.
Yeah.
And who else in defence?
Walker and Shaw.
I would put Walker. I'm a big fan, but I'd still go for Trippier.
Okay.
Rogue. Okay.
Why?
Just because I'm not saying I think Walker's a very good player, but I just think Trippier, 1, gives you set pieces. 2, he's played right back all season for Atletico Madrid, who won the league in La Liga.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to actually being a defender, I think he's slightly got it over Kyle Walker. Although I have no shadow of it, Trippier won't be who Southgate starts. It'll just be my personal choice who starts at right back. But if I wouldn't be surprised if he starts Reece James, just because I think Reece James probably a better defender than Kyle Walker.
Yeah, he kind of. The thing with James is he kind of gives you a bit of everything. So he's got he's not quite as quick as Walker, but he is very quick.
Yeah,
and he's got a great cross like Trippier. So he's kind of like a nice middle ground between the 2.
Yeah, but as you said, as we're playing Croatia, I think Southgate will go Walker. I think we could see I think we will see a different fullback play when we play Scotland.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a fullback who's definitely going to be bombing on all game.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a team like Croatia, where he's probably going to be coming up against Ivan Perisic most likely, or Rebic, whoever they should all play either side, both of them. But I think he's going to go Kyle Walker just so he knows he's got that defensive stability there. Yeah,
and Shaw over Chilwell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind, to be honest. I think if you play Walker and Shaw, because Shaw's played on the left of a 3 for United and Walker's played on the right of a 3.
You can switch things up without having to take too many players up.
You can just kind of shift the defence like that and then have kind of a defensive 3 when you've got the ball, if you want to. But Chilwell was really good in the Champions League final. Yeah. I don't think there's much between Chilwell and Shaw, to be honest.
No,
really
that's the thing with all the fullbacks. A lot of in that squad, same with Trippier, Walker, James.
You can really complain.
You can there's justification for everyone.
Yeah, I don't think you can complain if a certain fullback's not playing, because I think they're all starting fullbacks. There's no issue, I think, with anyone if either of them starts. But I do think Luke Shaw will get the nod, just because I think over the course of the season he's definitely had the best.
He's in the team of the year as well. Yeah, you know what I mean. Which, to be fair, it has to be said. What an incredible career resurgence he's had. It looked like he's done, Just shows what happens when you're fit and you're not managed by Jose Mourinho. So, the 2 midfielders that we have left. Rice is going to be one of them.
Rice will be one
of them.
Definitely. Henderson's not fit.
Roy Keane suggested he was brought along because he...
Good for the group.
Yeah, plays cards and stuff like that, which is a little bit of an insult.
I mean, Roy Keane said that facetiously, but Jordan Henderson is actually a great leader.
He is good for the group, he's a good lad. Yeah, absolutely.
And in a 26-man squad, it's worth having them.
And it's not like he's Adil Rami. Like, I mean, he will play.
Because everyone has a go at why you bring in... Well, this is literally the point of the 3 extra spaces in the squad. I understand we've used 2 of them to take 2 injured players.
Yeah.
But I think Henderson is important, because for me, even though Harry Kane is the England captain, Henderson is...
A captain.
The
more vocal leader, isn't he?
Yeah, as in he's the club not the club captain, but the equivalent of that when it comes to international football.
Yeah.
So I think it got to take him. When it comes to who plays in midfield, I said I've been so impressed with Bellingham whenever he's played for England. Obviously, I've seen bits of him at Dortmund. It's not like I watched the Bundesliga week
against
in, week
Man
out.
City. I mean, everyone said it, and it's a bit cliche already, but like he was the best player on the pitch, and he's 17 years old. Like you said,
ridiculous.
Bellingham was born roughly around the same time that Modric started his career.
Yeah, it's
which
crazy.
Is insane.
The same summer. Yeah,
it's very, very bizarre. Yeah. But there's as with a lot of players in the team, no one could be outraged with Bellingham starting alongside.
No, but I don't think he will. I think Southgate, as we've kind of established, will be a bit more cautious against Croatia.
Yeah.
So I can see Phillips starting alongside Rice against Croatia, because they kind of complement each other well. They have kind of different strengths.
Yeah.
Rice is a bit more destructive, really good at charging forward with the ball. Phillips more of a distributor. So I think Phillips will probably play against Croatia, and then maybe Bellingham will get brought in for the Scotland and Czech Republic games.
It would make more sense for him to come in for the Scotland game, just because he will have. It's not saying he's not going to have space in the middle of the park, but I think against Scotland, the interesting thing about Scotland is actually the midfield is their strongest area. They've got
Gilmour, McTominay,
and McGinn. But I do think, obviously, England will have more of the ball in the Scotland game than they will in the Croatia game. Because, with Steve Clarke's side, they're very defensively solid, but I wouldn't say they're a team who are going to carve you open, for example.
Yeah.
Che Adams has only discovered his Scottish nationality in the last 12 months, it seems.
Hey, look, as an Irishman, and we have benefited many times from that rule, let him have it.
But I think Bellingham would seem to suit the Scotland game a lot more, and I think Croatia, Southgate probably needs to be cautious, because we can't just go full Monty against Croatia. You've got to tread this game very carefully, because if you end up not getting the right result, it puts so much pressure on that Scotland and Czech Republic game, especially if Scotland end up getting 3 points against Czech Republic, which they're more than capable of doing. They
drew against the Netherlands quite recently. That's not.
They were lucky. They're lucky not to win that game. Obviously, Price scored that wonderful free kick, but it just wasn't a free kick in the first place. But I think Southgate will be cautious and go with Phillips next to Rice. And as Reuben said, they can sort of, it's not like one sitting, one's going forward. They can both sort of do both jobs. And they can do different jobs in those roles. So I think when it comes to the flexibility of this team, I think, that's what Southgate will probably go with on Sunday afternoon.
So, to put both of you in the spot, which I'm sure you're going to be really delighted with, score prediction, England-Croatia, how do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to be a repeat of the Nations League game with a 2-1 for England.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'll go 2. I'm much less confident than I was at the start of the show for some reason.
Now that you've talked through England's team in detail.
No, okay, I think we'll win, I think we'll win. I'll go 2-1 as well, but I've got this idea in my head, because I read Jonathan Liu's piece in The Guardian about when England go 1 up and then we just retreat and invite pressure, and it's happened too many times. But, so maybe... I don't want us to concede first, but maybe we need something to kick us into gear. Yeah, we did.
Because there was, although it was a Nations League game, and everyone sort of says, "Oh, is it just all glorified?" This one actually wasn't a glorified friendly.
No.
Because whoever lost the game got relegated. And Croatia didn't get relegated in the end because it got expanded to 4 teams in the following Nations League. But at that point, they were relegated, and whoever won the game was going to the finals in Porto. So England were losing at one point, and was oh no. And then by the time Harry Kane scores the winner, everyone's on their phones on the tube home trying to book flights to Porto for the Nations League final in the summer. So I think that we've got to take confidence from that. Obviously, the reverse fixture Nations League was a 0-0 draw behind closed doors. So I said in the 2 games we played since, we weren't beaten against them in the 2 games. I know it's not a huge amount you can look into, but as we said, this is an ageing Croatia side, and I think it is at Wembley. It's not like we've gone to Russia and we're playing them. This is on home soil. It's a pitch that these England players will know. The majority of them will anyway through experience. That's when you talk about the likes of Sterling and Kane. They know what it's like to score goals for fun at this ground. We played Czech Republic at the end of the group. Last time we played them at home, we battered them 5-0. So I think the Wembley factor is something you've got to take into consideration, and I think that's something that will help us get over the line in this game and in this group.
Yeah. So Perisic to score first, and then England to win 2-1.
Cool. I think you're going to win it quite comfortably.
Do you reckon?
That's going to come back to bite me in the arse. I do think
well, we'll revisit this on Monday then.
Because the thing is, I just think you've got it's just very reductive, but a really, really good team.
We do. And
if the players in your team play to the ability that we know they have,
that's the thing. They rarely do in international football though, because as you know, as many people have pointed out, they don't play together very often, and tactical system's a bit more simple. But if we can get the right balance between defence, attack, width, then I think then we're in a good position to get a good result on Sunday.
For sure. Before we move on to, let's say, like the other teams in the tournament and a few predictions on that as well, Southgate isn't going to be wearing his three-piece waistcoat thing this tournament. So what should he wear instead?
Well, I don't like the outfit that he's gone for at the moment. It's kind of halfway between polo shirt and shirt. His suit's a bit ill-fitting.
Okay.
The grey jacket.
It's not.
He needs to go back to navy and light blue.
Yeah.
Just go to like the England-ish sort of colours. The navy. The grey just doesn't work as far as
No, it doesn't. But it was a bit. Maybe he's ditched a waistcoat because Phil Neville copied it when he was Lioness's boss.
Phil Neville ruins everything.
I know. He really does.
Anyway, okay. So, for the rest of the tournament, France are undeniable favourites. I mean, even before they brought back Benzema, the team is just world champions, just dripping with talent.
Yeah. It was the final of the Euros last time as well.
Yeah.
Had they had Benzema in that team, then they definitely would have won.
Yeah. How cruel was that as well? But anyway, we'll not talk about that. But what teams if any teams are keeping you guys awake at night, if your lives are that small that you're just thinking about football in your bed?
I think one that sticks out for me, maybe because it's not the route, but the group sort of side of the draw they're in is Italy.
Okay.
I think Italy under Mancini, they're a completely different side to the team that failed to qualify for the last Euros, and I think they extended his contract to something crazy like 2026.
Wow, okay.
So they're really happy. They're really happy with the job that Mancini's done, bar that weird squad announcement video that they did.
Oh my God, yeah,
last week.
That was incredible.
That was amazing.
I didn't even know what was going on there, but no, they've got, as I said, it's not an Italy team you'd think of that they're just like the back. They've got some. I think they haven't got any world class or players in that one, but they've got so many solid players. Bonucci at the back. You've got Insigne up front. Ciro Immobile, who for some reason he can score them so often for Lazio, but I don't want to say he's clinical for the national team, or we saw him when he was at Borussia Dortmund. He couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo there. But I think Italy all over the park are just so solid. Verratti in midfield. I feel like they're not. I wouldn't say they're. People keep saying they're a dark horse, but if you keep saying they're a dark horse,
they're not anymore.
No
it's like it's saying someone's underrated too many times.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if you look, I think the two favourites at the moment are France and England. Yeah. But I think beyond that, you can look at Italy.
They've got tournament pedigree as well, don't they, Italy?
Yeah.
Like they kind of. I remember at Euro 2016, their man for man, their lineup wasn't great, but Conte, with a front two of Graziano Pella and Eder, not the Eder that's called in the final for Portugal. They beat Spain like 2-0, just by sitting deep, soaking up pressure and hitting them on the break. So obviously Mancini's team are quite different in their approach, but Italy can't really rule them out.
They're not your usual Italian side.
No. But it is like the pedigree thing is an interesting one, because Italy are almost like the antithesis of England in these competitions, where they just think they can win because they're Italy. Okay, so some quick fire predictions. Who's going to win the tournament?
England.
Yeah, I've got to say England.
Okay, so that it's coming home in that regard. Who's going to be the top scorer?
Harry Kane.
Okay.
Antoine Griezmann.
Okay, all right. Which player do you think is going to be like a surprise package, like someone who's a little bit like going under the radar?
I'm not sure necessarily under the radar, but I do think that now he's playing for Germany, I don't think they're going to go far, but I think that because they're going to need goals, I wouldn't be surprised if Timo Werner starts banging in goals in this group stage.
I mean, we know he can do it. Yeah. He just hasn't.
Is there offside in the Euros? Because that might be a bit of a...
But no, I have a feeling now he's playing for Germany.
Yeah.
And I do feel like he's kind of a player who would maybe thrive on playing the strong teams week in, week out. And so I'm not saying he's going to necessarily be a surprise package, but he's someone who sticks out to me as he could probably surprise people as people assume he can't score and he's always offside.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Morata could probably have competition to see who's offside the most.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, no, I think when it comes to a surprise package in regards to players you're maybe not expecting, or people forgot about who could cause something in this tournament, I think Timo Werner is definitely a player you want to look out for, because we know the quality he's got, and with the supply lines he's going to have in that Germany team with Kai Havertz, Serge Gnabry, Ilkay Gundogan in midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a few goals in the group stage.
Yeah, that's a good shout actually.
Again, it won't be a surprise to many people, but I think Jude Bellingham, this is probably the tournament people start to realise how good he is.
Yeah. Because
understandably, not a lot of England fans have watched that much of him, because he's been playing in Germany. So, but if he gets a couple of group games against like Scotland and Czech Republic, and then he could have a massive impact.
You could see him if he has a couple of good games, then he just stays in the team.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a real chance of that. That concludes the first episode of Football Trending, delivered by JOE and Domino's. Join us next time, where we'll be reviewing England's opening game victory.
Hopefully.
Yeah, against Croatia. Thanks. See you next time.
You've been watching Football Trending, delivered by JOE and Domino's.